Well, I think it is important that we all be discerning and we all be uh, careful to warn people in our circles of influence about things that we're seeing that are unbiblical and that are really anti-biblical in a lot of cases. And that doesn't necessarily mean everyone has to have a podcast or a blog or a speaking ministry or whatnot. But a lot of times, and I see this very often in the ministry that I'm in, is that women in their local churches will start becoming more and more discerning, and they'll look around them and see, oh, our women's Bible study is always using books by this, that, and the other false teacher. And now what do I do about that now that I realize that? And it can be very difficult to address that situation in the local church with your women's ministry director, with your pastor, but this is something that we're all called to do. I always think of I think it's Ezekiel 33, where God talks to Ezekiel and says, I've made you my watchman on the wall. If you see danger coming, you are to, if you see judgment coming, you are to warn the people. And if they don't listen to you, their blood will be on their own head. But if you see the danger coming and you don't warn them, their blood will be on your head. And I take that very seriously. I'm not Ezekiel. It's not a direct command, but the spirit of what he's telling Ezekiel right there is that if we see something that's harmful to our brothers and sisters, and the New Testament reiterates this, if we see something that is harmful to our brothers and sisters and unbiblical, we're to love them enough to warn them. And so that is what we do. And that's what we're doing today, talking about passion. And we want to be careful, like you were saying also, to we're not saying all conferences are bad. You should never go to a conference. I mean, I speak at conferences all the time. Most of the conferences I do are church based, though. It's a church that's putting on a conference for its own women and maybe women in the surrounding areas. And I kind of like that, because that is what I want to do in my ministry, is to support and undergird pastors in their ministry to the women of their churches and the women in their communities. And so I really like that. I like doing other things too. Like I'll be speaking at the Answers for Women, Answers in Genesis conference in coming up here in spring of 2025. And so I'm excited about that. But I love the local church, and that's what we want to do, is to support the local church. And so that's what parachurch ministries should be doing. Parachurch ministries should be undergirding and coming alongside local churches to help them, to provide resources that the local church needs and would find helpful, and to just to be there, to be the local church's biggest cheerleader, and to funnel people into good, doctrinally sound, solid local churches. And sometimes what we end up having with this conference mentality, with Big Eva, the whole big evangelical industrial complex, I guess you could call it, is that things have flip-flopped, and it's not the church that's preeminent. It's the conferences and the books and the events and the celebrities and all of these things, and you have the tail wagging the dog. And that is what I guess we would be speaking out against, is if you're a person who is so wrapped up in going to conferences, then you've really you are really not getting the main thing as the main thing. The main thing is the local church. I always say God's plan A is the local church, and there is no plan B. And that's where our focus should be. Our focus should be for us to be in our local churches, sitting under doctrinally sound teaching from our pastors and teachers, serving in our local churches, and being that godly older man leading younger men, and that godly older woman leading younger women, and younger men and women growing up into becoming older godly men and women. And a lot of times we can get sidetracked, even by good conferences, if that is what we're constantly wrapped up in, and being enamored of Christian celebrities and things of this nature. So we're not bashing conferences altogether. We're just saying, if you're going to go to a conference, make it secondary to your local church, make it subordinate to your local church, and then also make sure it's not a conference like Passion that has false teachers, women preaching to men, music from heretical sources, things of this nature. You want it to feed and undergird what your pastor is teaching you, the sound doctrine that Titus 2:1 says that your pastor is supposed to be teaching you. And it's like a little occasional snack. It's not your main meal every day. So I think that's really what we're trying to say here.